This video is part of a playlist and collaboration with a group of different outdoor photographers here on YouTube. Videos will be added during the month of December, so make sure to check out the playlist down the description to see what they are up to.
So hello once more from the Fanal forest, again without any fog, but it's a beautiful morning here without any wind, which is nice to still explore some compositions, to take my time and take some photos despite the conditions. So I think I can still get a good photo, but it will not be outstanding because of the conditions other photographers had here. If you look at those photos, it's just remarkable what this place can look like if there's just some fog shrouding those trees. But still, it's a good practice, even if the conditions aren't perfect, to just try and make it work. Look for some compositions and take your time, because if you have the chance to return, which I'm gonna do the next days, if you then get the right conditions, you already know the drill, know where to go, how to set up, which compositions work. You also review those compositions like I showed in the previous examples and the previous videos, and then you can be sure to get a good photo. So what I've done here, there are some trees in the background, a nice group of trees, very gnarly looking as all the trees are. And then I try to find some foreground, which is not so easy here because the meadows are not very feature full, or the cows eat everything. The only thing you have to be careful of is the poop. So make sure you watch where you step. And then here I have some roots of this tree in the foreground, which I think looks nice. Do some focus stacking and then some bracketing for the background. Everything is put together later in Photoshop and we'll see what comes out of it. It will, as I said, most likely not be a portfolio piece, but a nice exercise for the morning and just getting out here and doing some photography. So as the morning progresses and I'm still here in the Fanal forest, I want to talk about a little lesson which I've got reminded of this morning. So when I was at the parking lot, I was the first car to arrive, and then another car arrived with also two photographers. And they came to me and asked me, where's the Fanal forest? So those gnarly trees. And I was a bit surprised because we were standing right in front of it, maybe 200 meters through the meadows. There are those trees, and they were asking, is it on the other side, where should we go? And I asked if they had pictures. So they came with a booklet of pictures which they had printed, and those were all those foggy pictures where you had those single trees. And if you were looking for those trees, you could stand in front of this forest and think, oh, it's another place, because it looks completely different in the sun. And this is something which you also need to be aware of. Don't have too many preconceived notions of how a place looks. Be open to explore it. I mean, it's good to look at pictures before, but I wouldn't try to find then exactly those trees and those pictures. Just be open, wander around and find your own compositions. And most often you stumble upon the same trees, because more often than not, those are the most photogenic. But in a place like Fanal, there's many trees which are photogenic. And just be open and explore. Go to areas which are a little farther off. For example, this area, it's maybe a kilometer from the car park, and there are still those beautiful trees. So it's not the trees you typically see in the photos, but I think I found a nice composition, because those here have a thick canopy of leaves, and I have no fog, but I have the sun, so I can, as I showed in a previous video from Portugal, try to place the sun somewhere in the frame, have it peek through the leaves, create a beautiful sun star. And just 10 minutes ago there was even a light drizzle, a little bit of rain, and this created some mist-like atmosphere in the background. So I still got some atmosphere, and had I not wandered off from the usual spots, I wouldn't have gotten that photo. So always explore the area, do your scouting, and use days like this where you don't have the conditions you would need. And yeah, I still hope I get those in the following days, but if not, I think at least I got one photo which is okay and might make it into the portfolio. But I still need to look at it at the big screen, which I'll do now. I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna stick around a bit longer, walk a bit more through those trees. Maybe I find some other areas which I can make work with the sun in the frame. But other than that, yeah, I hope you're enjoying those videos so far, and I'll also include a bit of B-roll showing some more of the areas around here now. And yeah, see you at the next spot or back here. Yeah, so it's evening and I'm back in my comfort zone, which is photographing seascapes. Now it's gonna be during blue hour because sunset's not gonna happen. There are thick clouds and the sun's already gone, but yeah, I'm here in Ponta do Sol. It's a beautiful town with some nice colorful buildings, and I reckon during blue hour, when those light up, it's gonna look fine. And also I have to be a bit careful. The waves down there are quite high, so I don't want to get wet up here. So yeah, about the shoot, I've set up here, photographing in the direction of the town. Very simple, having some wave action in the foreground, and yeah, just waiting for the lights to pop on, which should be in half an hour. So blue sky, some cliffs, then the town lit by warm light. That's the idea, a nice color contrast between blue and warm orange lights, and yeah, hopefully some nice long exposures for the water with some nice action, same as in Asenas do Mar a few videos ago. And yeah, that's really all about it. I have a filter in front of the lens, a graduated ND filter, also a polarizer today to refine a bit the reflections on the water, bring out the structures, and then a cable release to time the shots, because that's always good if you have wave action, you want to time the shots. And then I know just gonna wait and take a photo, and tomorrow morning maybe Fanal again, but for now it's just a simple seascape shoot. Okay, finally it's happening. I have fog in Fanal. It's now the 6th time I'm here, and I'm standing at a composition which I think I already showed you in the last video. This time it's with fog in the conditions I wanted. So it's also raining a lot, so there will be water blotches on the lens in this video. I hope not too many, but yeah, it's just beautiful. So I arrived here 2 hours ago. There it was still a lot of wind, a lot of rain, but now it's slowly getting less and less rain, but the fog still persists, so exactly what I wanted. So about this composition, I have this beautiful tree which I scouted with this branch or leading in the frame, and then also in the background you have additional trees. I was careful to position it in a way so this one doesn't intersect with the tree you see over there, and then also in this direction I have a branch. So I think that's quite a nice composition, and I already photographed it. So usually what I do when it's raining, either I use the umbrella, hold it in front of the lens, and then clean it then I press the shutter, have a 2-second timer, and just before it releases I remove the umbrella. Or when it's not so much rain like it's now, just use the lens cloth. I clean the lens, keep it in front of the lens so I have focused before this, and then I press the shutter, 2-second timer, and just before it releases I remove the lens cloth. This way I can avoid too many blotches on the lens, and I do this again and again to make sure I get a photo which is clean. But now I have to continue. Don't know how long this fog will stick around, and I have a few other compositions which I've scouted and which I want to photograph now. So let's go. Yeah, and just like that, the fog's gone. So the clouds have drifted into their usual direction to the other mountains. But I think I got the photos I wanted. And it was also good this morning that I was here so many times, because I really knew the place. I knew where the best compositions, in my opinion, or for me, were. And I already had tested them, shot them in daylight or in normal light. So for example, the shot from the first video from Madeira. And I could now capture them in ideal conditions with fog, and I could directly walk there, take the photo, then quickly go to the other location, take another photo. And especially with such fleeting conditions, that's important. So prepare, use the time, also use the conditions when you don't get a photo, but still try, take the photos, look at them at the screen in your hotel or apartment, think about them, do you like them, and then when the conditions are right, just go directly to those places, take photos, and then if the fog sticks around or whatever conditions you want, the light, take some more photos, but first kind of bottle your important photos. And I think I've done this. Hopefully they look nice. And now, yeah, I'm gonna stick around a bit longer. Maybe some more fog drifts in, but yeah, I have to say the weather forecast this morning was very correct. I found, I think, a good app now, Madeira Weather, which at least for one day predicts quite accurately the conditions also for this place. So I looked at Ribeira de Janela, which is a few hundred meters lower, but it's like the closest place to here where you can get a forecast, and there it was saying yesterday evening 100% humidity. First a lot of rain, then a drizzle, and then fading. So also for now humidity is going lower and lower, fog's gone. So it was very accurate, and I'm not sure if this was just by chance or if it's always that good. I didn't know about this app the first days I was here, but yeah, I continue to use it and give you an update if it works out. And yeah, for now I'm very glad I was here this morning, although I got very wet in the beginning, but it's always worth it to be out there in the elements and yeah, try to get the photos.
So just after I recorded the last part of the video, the fog returned and I took many more photos, which is why I won't show all the finished photos. I didn't have time to process them. Instead, I'll now go through all the photos I took, the different compositions, and I'll quickly talk you through them, which work, which don't work. And we'll start with the first photo here, which is one of the photos I scouted. So already on the first day, when there was still sunshine, I already found this tree and thought it might look nice because all the branches leading here into the frame. It just looked already with sun very beautiful, but now here with fog, it's definitely a portfolio piece in my opinion. So I made sure to have this branch here in the foreground leading the viewer into the frame. Then we have zigzagging into the center. We have a branch from here, so it's coming from all sides into the center. Also here in the background we have another tree, and here on this side. So all in all, I think this is quite a good image. Now this second image here you might already know from the first video where I photographed it around noon. So here it's now with fog, and you see it's much more atmosphere, and the fog was so thick that this tree here, which is only like 10 meters away from the camera, is already a bit shrouded in fog. So I think this also worked very nice. And here the branch leading into the frame, similar to the other image, this is a very gnarly tree with many branches leading the viewer. And down here this area is a bit empty, but at least we have some bark lying here, so to fill the frame just a bit. I might crop a bit at the bottom, but all in all I think this is still a balanced image. Now afterwards I went to an area which I explored during the first part of this video, and here I have this branch leading into the frame. I kind of like the idea behind this photo, but I'm not sure it's a strong image, because also there's a lot of bright areas up here, and also this branch might be a bit too dominant. This is an image I'd have sit for a few weeks and return to it to see if I still like it or not. But for now, I don't think I will process it. And it's similar with this image, which I took of the same tree just from another angle, so having a bit of a foreground here, which I said in the first video, it's not so easy to find foregrounds in Fanal, but if you wander off a bit, there are a few rocks and other things you can use as foreground. But also here there's a lot of mess up here, so those branches and all the leaves and everything. Then down here, those rocks, there is no real balance between the rocks here and the tree up here, so it looks like it's two images, or they don't really merge. So I don't think this is an image for the portfolio. Now afterwards I also wanted to take some photos of those lonely trees, and here's a beautiful example, but what I'm missing is a bit of depth and perspective. This is also a thing I mentioned. The lonely tree in the fog looks nice, but what you really need is something in the background to give this a little more depth and perspective. So although this is a beautiful looking tree, I'm not yet sure if this is an image for the portfolio. With this tree here we have a bit of depth, because there's a tree on the side here and also a group of trees there. But also what I did here, I included myself in the photo to give the viewer a bit of an idea of scale here, so you see how big those trees are. And I think this works very well. And I did the same for this tree, and here I have an even better composition with the trees in the background. So I framed this very carefully so it wouldn't intersect with this branch, and then I have those here and me standing in between. So you see how huge this tree is. What I have to do for this image is do some perspective correction, because I had to point my camera upwards, which is why I have the keystoning here, so me and all the trees leaning inward. So this is easily corrected in Photoshop, as I show in another video. And now let's continue with the next image, which is this tree. So it looks similar to the other tree where I was standing. And here we have a path leading up into those trees, and it's a nice image, but I'm not so sure, something is missing. So maybe I should have also positioned myself somewhere here, but I think this might not be a portfolio image. Versus this one, which I like a lot, because for one thing we have a nice foreground. So here this root leading into the frame from the left, then we go up, and then this tree also with the branches off into the distance. Then we have some nice framing by this tree on the side, and then a lot of trees in the background. Also here, it doesn't bother me so much that the fog in the background is nearly white. I did bracketing also have darker parts, but here it creates kind of a dreamy atmosphere, which works with this image, I think. And here's the same tree as a vertical shot, where I included even more foreground. I went very close here to those roots and all the mosses and vegetation. And same as the horizontal shot, I think this works quite well. It looks very dreamy, and yeah, this is also a photo for the portfolio. Then I wandered higher, where there was still a lot of fog. I found this tree, which looks beautiful because of its shape, also what you have here in the background. And what's bothering me with this image is a lot of empty space down here. So I'm not sure if I can make this work with a little bit of selective perspective correction. So basically drawing down this edge a bit. So straightening this area might work, but currently I'm not decided yet. Versus this image, where I again included myself to provide a bit of scale. So this is also a very beautiful tree with a lot of branches going in all directions. We have thick fog in the background, and then I placed myself in between those two trees. So this area is framing myself, and then here we create some balance, even though this area is also quite empty, but because I'm standing in this foreground, I think this is working. And here's a similar image. So you see the theme I went with in the last images, including myself, because I found some of the trees just needed something to put them into perspective and give the viewer an idea how huge they are. And here I position myself in this area here, where you have just fog and all trees and branches framing myself. And also this tree was very beautiful because of all the little ferns and moss on this side. And then you have into the distance more trees and thick fog. And there's still more. I went further on to discover this area with a lot of interesting foreground. With this photo, I'm not yet 100% sure because this branch leading into the frame is very dominant and it's not very diagonal, so it's nearly horizontal. And I think I might be able to make it work with some perspective correction again to make it a little more angled. But in the end, it might be too dominant. So this is also an image that has to sit for a few weeks, and then I'll return to it and have a look and see if it might work. And here's the final image, which you might not think of it as level, but I actually leveled the camera, which might have been a bit of a mistake because what I realized later on the big screen is every tree in this frame here is at an angle because this slope was very steep and all the trees adapted a bit, so they're all leaning to the left. So what I could have done is just angle the camera and make the tree straight here, and the slope would no longer be a slope in the photo, but I think for the viewer this would be less distracting. So this here is accurate, but sometimes you might not want your camera level, and this is something I should have tried here. I can still salvage this image, I think, so I like it a lot, and I'll just reduce the slope a bit with some selective perspective correction. So for example, I will draw this area, this corner out a bit. I will draw this corner down and then this corner out. So basically leveling the trees just a bit. I need this tree at least to be straight because then it's kind of the anchor which tells the viewer, okay, this is right. This is not a mistake and the camera wasn't angled. Because currently when you look at this, you just think, I had the camera at an angle. But what's really going on here is that this was a very steep slope. Yeah, that's it. That's all the images I took. So quite a productive morning. I will process those over the next weeks and I hope you found this interesting. Also, just leave a comment which of those images you like the most. So I put little numbers in the video so you can just name the number. Would be interesting for me to get a little voting here. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye.